are the New York Knicks. I'm back, rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast episode 467. I am Jay, with me is Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good. So I've gone black. I've gone dark for the last, not black. I've gone dark. I haven't heard anything that happened at the beginning of free agency. Jay told me a major move happened. I'm so excited to hear about, I'm so excited. What did the Knicks do, Jay? What did the Knicks do? I'm so excited. What big move happened? He said a big blockbuster trade happened. I assume the Knicks were involved. Tell me.
You've heard about this guy named Anthony Davis, right?
And he's a Knick. So was it Kevin Knox for him straight up? Did they have to throw in the Chicago picks? I mean, the Dallas picks? What happened?
It was 3 players and three draft picks.
Oh, I got it. Okay, so I assume it was the 2 Dallas picks and Barrett's. That's 3 draft picks. Knox, Ntilikina, and Lance Thomas. I assume that got it done, and New Orleans is so happy.
Close. It was Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart.
I didn't know those guys played on the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks again. So this really exciting summer is really winding down already.
Yeah, exciting. So the summer of the Knicks, we all had high hopes. Get Zion. Well, the league fixed the draft so we don't get Zion. Get Kevin Durant. Well, Kevin Durant is almost dead, but you're going to get him. He won't play next year, and you probably won't actually get him. And now Anthony Davis, you won't get him either. And yeah, so we are the summer of. I've heard the Knicks are going to cut Lance Thomas, and then sign him back. If they can get some reason or another, they can cut him and get him back for less money. So it is the summer of Lance.
So
I'm not sure how that worked. Did you? I didn't bother to really look at the details of the Lance Thomas thing, but apparently they could release him and then sign him for less money because they need cap space for no reason because the Knicks aren't even going to use the cap space. The Anthony Davis thing. So once we found out Kevin Durant was injured, I mean, we don't know if he'll be a Knick. At this point, I feel like it's probably not the best decision to sign a guy that suffered that major of an injury. But at the same time, once you knew he was down, trading everything to get Anthony Davis didn't seem like the best idea in the world.
no, I mean I'm not upset. The Knicks couldn't have come close to matching what the Lakers offered anyway.
I was saying on our last show. I mean, even the idea of just Lonzo Ball, Ingram, and the number 4 pick sounded beyond what the Knicks were going to offer.
Yeah. Do you think the Knicks are going to offer Lance Thomas a multi-year deal?
He is getting the max contract. So I assume he's going to come back on a 1-year deal. If he comes back, nothing else makes any sense.
But if you were Lance Thomas, you'd be like, okay, I'm owed $7.6 million. You want to waive me and then re-sign me for half that?
Well, I think he gets the money. It's just that the salary cap hit is lower.
No, if the Knicks waive him before June 30th, they don't owe him anything.
You know what? If I'm Lance Thomas, I'm so sick of losing every season. I go to all the teams that look like they're going to be contenders and go, do you want a 15th guy?
And then when they all say no, then I guess you come back to the Knicks.
Yes. Yeah. The Lakers don't have a roster. They have 2 players. They're going to sign it. Actually, they have 3 players. They're going to sign a 4th. That's their entire roster. They could probably use Lance Thomas. In theory, they just need players. So
I'm calling it now. Lakers don't make the playoffs next year.
Let's talk about the trade a little bit. And you're insane. Why do you think? Let's talk. So the trade was the Lakers got Anthony Davis, and the Pelicans got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, who we assume is probably going to be healthy. I assume there's going to be a medical exam for this, right?
Yeah.
Josh Hart, who I think is a solid role player off the bench.
Yep.
They got 3 number 1 picks. So the number 1 pick's the number 4 pick this year, which the NBA really helped the Lakers out by giving them the number 4 pick.
Yeah.
Though I think this deal could have gotten done without the 4. Like, if the Lakers just had like the number 8 pick, do you think the trade would have still gotten done?
I think they might have had to throw in Kuzma at that point.
Yeah, I think the trade would have happened either way.
Mm-hmm.
But and then there were 3 number 1 draft picks, and I've heard, and this one I have not confirmed, there might be a pick swap also.
Okay.
And the second draft pick, the second number 1 happens post LeBron's, when LeBron's contract is over. So in theory, the Lakers might be bad at that point. So New Orleans might get a high pick.
I think the Lakers are bad at this point.
Well, yes, they did not make the playoffs this year. Though they were LeBron and not much else went on quite a good run before he got injured.
Yeah, but are you confident he's even going to stay healthy?
I mean, so the Lakers roster right now is going to be LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, and almost no one else right now is signed.
Right.
We were going to assume like Caldwell Pope. Maybe he maybe Caldwell Pope takes a small contract because he's been given so much money over the last couple of years by the Lakers.
Possible, yeah.
We assume they have 1 max contract slot left, and in theory, they're going to go after Jimmy Butler.
It's not even a max contract slot. Anthony Davis had a trade kicker, so he gets an extra $4 million. So the Lakers have $23 million.
Oh, I was listening somewhere. I think the Ringer, their NBA show, is that they speculated that the Lakers would have enough for 1 max slot.
$23.7 million is what they have.
Oh,
I mean, maybe they can do that if they get rid of the cap holds on Lance Stevenson, Rondo, Muscala, McGee. But again, if you do that, then you literally have 4 players on the team.
Do you want any of those players on the team?
I don't. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know if that would work, but if it would like Butler, Davis, and LeBron and all minimum contracts, would that make them that dangerous?
It sounds like Kyrie's going to Brooklyn, but I thought Kyrie might be a possibility. It sounds like it would probably be, I guess, Jimmy Butler or maybe or Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker's been talked about a little bit for the Lakers. But either way, so let's say it's Kemba or Jimmy Butler. That threesome plus Kuzma is a pretty darn good core. They'll probably add a bunch of minimum contracts. I think they could run out a roster that'll have a very good shot at the West.
Oh, I completely disagree.
Okay, so if you were the Lakers, Jay, you're operating the Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
would you have made this trade? Well, before you even answer that, you would not. You're going to say no.
Well, I mean, do you have a guarantee that he's staying after this year?
No guarantee. He says he's going to test the market.
No.
Well, here's my question to you, though. Why did you sign LeBron?
Because LeBron is, at the time, was the best player in the league.
But you signed LeBron to win a title, right? Yeah,
but here's the thing. I signed LeBron. I don't sign Stevenson and Rondo and McGee.
Right. Well, yes. If you were operating the team, you wouldn't make some of the dumbest signings possible.
I mean, the mess is so bad at this point that you can't say like, oh, you wouldn't. Why would you do this? Like, because the team is already just messed up. Like,
you just found out the West is up for grabs. Golden State, those injuries happen, which makes it even more so. If you were even thinking about not going for it,
mm-hmm.
even more so you should go for it because you found out Golden State is now, they're not going to win the title next year. The West is up for grabs. So you might as well go all in to get a guy like Anthony Davis. You have LeBron. You have a window of, at max, at most, 2 good LeBron seasons, maybe 1 good LeBron season at most left. If you do not make the Anthony Davis trade, LeBron starts demanding a trade because he's going to say, what the hell are you doing? I'm not going to waste another year of my career. I demand a trade. Even though LeBron's such a great player, you may not get a lot back for him because of just basically how old he is and coming off that injury. You may be completely screwed next year.
That's a good point.
Like you have LeBron James. You brought him in here to win a title. You have to go all in with LeBron.
Okay, I mean,
Or
I guess you talked me into it. I'm also thinking like, Ball and Ingram really played under expectations so far. So
Yeah, they both weren't that great. It wasn't like, in theory, LeBron could have come here and Lonzo and Ingram could have taken a step up, and then you would have been a very compelling roster. They both were not that great last year.
yeah, no, that is true.
And maybe Ingram and LeBron both turned out. Sorry, Ingram and Ball turned out to be very good players, and maybe they just didn't play well with LeBron, or maybe they're just young and they need more experience. You don't have that window with LeBron.
Well, I think the best part of this entire story is that Papa Ball is now in New Orleans. After talking about all three of his sons playing for the Lakers, I mean, isn't that like the best part of this?
I mean, what I'm glad. The one good thing about Lonzo not being that great is that we haven't heard from LeVar in a while.
Yeah, well, I think LeBron might have had something to do with that because he was mouthing off a lot at the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden he just shut up, and he doesn't seem like the guy to shut up unless he was completely threatened.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see when he gets to New Orleans how much he, how crazy, how much he talks.
The funny thing is, they might have said "shut up" or "we'll trade you to New Orleans," and then they did it anyway.
I mean, look at the team though. You have LeBron. You have Kuzma. Kuzma's a solid player. You got LeBron. You got Anthony Davis. If they stay healthy and you add in a third guy like a Butler or a Kemba, or even D'Angelo Russell, you add him in. Is anyone else in the West that much better than you?
I get what you're saying. I think I just don't have any faith that Davis and James stay healthy.
No, I mean but you already bet on LeBron's health by signing him, and
LeBron's health is much easier to bet on.
Yeah,
but Davis's health is a little suspect.
It's a little suspect, but he seemed to have an easy year this past year when he didn't play most of the year. You could kind of try to manage his minutes if you can. I mean, I don't think it's you could build a decent rest of your roster, like a serviceable rest of your roster between basically veterans that were looking for a title, and basically whatever else you can get on minimum contracts. There's enough players out there, you could build an okay rest of your roster.
Yeah, I guess.
If you have these players that are this talented, if they stay healthy, and obviously you wouldn't make the bet on their health at the same time the Lakers have by just having LeBron here. What was their alternative also? The only alternative was to go after Bradley Beal. And who's a bigger difference maker?
Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal's a bigger difference maker if healthy. If Anthony Davis is healthier, they're both healthy. You think Bradley Beal's a bigger difference maker than Anthony Davis? And you remember the Wizards sucked last year.
Well, the Wizards roster was.
Oh, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, what? Why do you think Bradley Beal's a better player than Anthony Davis? What are you saying?
I'm saying that I haven't seen anything that makes me believe that Anthony Davis makes his teammates any better. He had Holiday, Miratek, Julius Randle, and they didn't even make the playoffs.
I mean, last year he didn't play though half the year.
They made the playoffs once?
They made the year before they made the playoffs.
Yeah, and got swept, right?
They made the second round, didn't they?
Well, they got swept in the second round, I think.
Okay, well they made the second round.
Okay, yeah, but that was the only time he's made the playoffs, right?
Right, he should have been in the playoffs more. Totally agree with that. But at the same time, I'm still going to bet on Anthony Davis' potential. He has put up significant, amazing numbers. He is a force. I would bet. I think Bradley Beal's a very good player. I'd bet on Anthony Davis over Bradley Beal if they're both going to be healthy. I think Beal probably. It is more likely Beal's going to be healthier than Anthony Davis, but I think Anthony Davis also played at least 60 games most of his every year of his career, so he hasn't been that unhealthy either. He just doesn't suit up for a full 82 any year.
Right.
Anyway, for the Lakers, once you have that roster, is Denver that much better? Are the Clippers that much better? Are the Oklahoma that much better? Portland that much better? Are the Rockets that much better? The Rockets seem like they're going to have some issues. They might trade Chris Paul. Sorry. They might try to trade Chris Paul, fail miserably at trading Chris Paul, and create quite the locker room situation there.
Well, I still think the Nuggets, probably the Rockets, Jazz, Thunder, maybe the Clippers are
So-
all better.
Okay. Do you think if you're the Lakers, would you punt and try to trade LeBron, or would you go all in?
No, you'd go all in. I mean, you get LeBron, you're going all in. I get it. I
Okay.
get it.
So do you still think the Lakers are not going to make the playoffs? Though you're still saying that because the guys are going to get injured. Is that your theory?
Well, I don't think they're going to get the third max guy. And
You don't think the third max. So you think, let's say Kyrie goes to Brooklyn, which makes no sense, but he also believes in a flat Earth. So who the hell knows what he thinks?
right.
But you don't think they'll get. You think Kemba is not going to come here, and you don't think Jimmy Butler will come here.
No, I think Kemba stays. Butler's a wild card.
Oh, and I was saying D'Angelo Russell, but D'Angelo Russell will never come to the Lakers. That would be absurd if he came here.
No, he never would. I mean,
Yeah.
that could be the one guy the Knicks get.
Yeah, I actually am not. We can talk about that in a little bit if you want, but I would be okay if the Knicks signed D'Angelo Russell.
I would too. Actually,
but
we might as well just roll into that. I mean,
well, let's roll into just. I just want to do the other side of this trade real quick. New Orleans. How do you like the trade for New Orleans?
I like it. I like it because
Want to expand or just say I like it and then move on?
No, let's just move on. No, because a lot of the superstar trades lately have been very underwhelming as far as what the teams got back.
Yeah.
And you're getting 3 players who, while they underperform, they could all still be very good. I mean, they're all really young. And then you got 3
Are you
draft
including
picks.
Hart? Hart is a player that's going to be really good, or you just
I mean,
you just say three? You say three for no good reason.
he was destroying in summer league, so he has
Yeah.
potential.
So
there.
was Knox. That means a lot.
Well, I'm just saying it's not like
He was destroying in summer league. I thought Hart looked great in summer league.
Hart
I didn't watch it.
Hart could have like a Van Fleet trajectory.
Okay. Is that what we're gonna say about everyone? That like anyone who you're like, oh, he's kind of a bench. Maybe he could have a Van Fleet trajectory. I mean, Van Fleet, what he's done is crazy. How good
Yeah.
he's been. Everyone's talking about Alonzo Trier as being this undrafted. Van Fleet was undrafted.
Yeah.
It's crazy how good. By the way, the finals happened. Toronto won. That was a pretty insane. We can move on for a second, but that was a pretty insane last game.
You know what the Knicks, super Knicks fans are going to say. This is why draft picks don't matter. Because
I thought you were going to say super Knicks fans should say, let's sign Durant and Clay to max contracts and spend all their money on guys that will not play next year.
Van Fleet wasn't drafted, so we don't have to worry about draft picks.
You just need to know stuff. You know how to find the undrafted superstars. It's okay.
As long as you do your homework and just research every human on Earth.
So
yeah, so I
the
congrats to the
turnover
Raptors
at the end of the game, and then Steph Curry getting an open look, and of course, Clay getting injured after Clay was dominating and he got injured. That whole thing was just crazy.
And Clay going down, maybe even for all of next year, it was just so deflating.
The fact also that he got injured, he goes to the locker room, comes back for you think he's out, comes back after the TV timeout, he's shooting the free throws because he doesn't want to be out of the game. Then he's running up and down in the in the locker room. He's jumping around, wants to come back into the game, and you find out he's not gonna be able to walk soon.
I mean, that is a tough guy. He had a torn ACL and he was running and jumping trying to get back into the game.
He hit 2 free throws with a torn ACL. It's insane.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
As far as entertainment value, not necessarily the Golden State had all these injuries, but as far as entertainment value and storylines, this was the best series I've seen in a long time.
It was really good. It makes me think it would have been a 4-game sweep if the Warriors had everybody. But since they didn't, it was a very competitive, very exciting series.
We'll never know, and Kawhi Leonard is what a gamble. I'm going to trade DeRozan, arguably our best player, for Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard may leave at the end of the year. I'm going to take that gamble, and we won a title.
Yeah, I mean, even though the Warriors were injured, the defense on Toronto was amazing. There was a play in the fourth quarter of Game 6. The Warriors made 3 passes, and every guy who got the ball was double teamed. I don't know how that's even possible, but Yeah, I
Toronto's-
saw it with my own eyes. Everybody was double teamed.
Toronto for a while has been building like the last couple of years. Looked like they had a lot of depth, and you're wondering in the playoffs, the lineups get shortened. Is the depth going to really matter? And every year they seem to lose the LeBron, so maybe the depth didn't matter. And finally, having 7 or 8 guys that can handle the ball and shoot and score and do everything and play defense seemed to actually work out.
They're still cut the rotation to around 7. It's just every single guy was good. It was above average on defense.
Right, and you had like everyone could score, everyone could do something that usually you don't. Even a 7-person rotation, you don't have guys like you. It's rare to have a team where you have a guy like Van Fleet who can go off on you.
He's the only guy on the roster really who wasn't really good on defense, right?
I mean that the everyone generally they played really. Van Fleet even played. They played good team defense. They had everyone was on the same page. It's a team that has played together for a while. But I guess Kawhi hasn't played together with them for a while. But I don't know. They made everything work. And you had different guys going off each night. Like Siakam went off, and Ibaka reemerged out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Lowry, who seemed like he did a lot of good things, but seemed like he couldn't score anymore, suddenly had a giant game at the end of the series.
Yeah.
But going back to the Pelicans, so this trade I think is a home run for them. I mean, no matter how it works out, you got a lot for Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Now you got a really young team. Half of them are on rookie contracts, so you get basically a free look at them.
You got a guy that can throw alley-oops to Zion.
You have like 2 first-rounders a year, and if Davis and or LeBron goes down, you got good draft picks coming too.
Yeah. So if I'm a Pelican fan, I'm a lot happier than I was going into last season. You had Anthony Davis. You thought the team would be good. I think this is just a much better situation. Go have with Zion and all these young guys and the draft picks. I think you're in you have more potential to actually like go.
I mean, I would
later
take
on.
the Pelicans roster in a heartbeat over the Knicks roster.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, New Orleans, they had it been like, well, we have the Lakers offer. We have questions about Lonzo and Ingram, but you see what the Knicks are offering. We have to do the Laker trade.
Yeah,
They didn't have a lot of path, and it sounded like the Celtics were not ready to commit with Tatum. And if the Celtics aren't committing with Tatum, you're not going to make the trade with the Celtics.
exactly. Because a lot of the Celtics looked way worse this year than they did last year. The time for the Celtics to make the trade was last year when people thought Brown was going to be like this amazing player.
Right.
Or Rozier wasn't going to be just complete trash.
It's weird because the Celtics, all this time they've been building assets and more assets, and really they were like the smartest guys in the room. And last year they almost made the finals, and now they're basically 4th in the East.
They outsmarted themselves.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to hold on to assets and make this mega trade, and they held on not even 1 season, like 6 months too long.
Right. I mean, like Houston, they got also lucky with Harden being available, but they had all these assets and they spent them at the correct time.
Imagine having assets and then using them for a player that's actually worth it, and not Bargnani.
Yes.
That was like the one time since we started this podcast the Knicks had a bunch of assets, and that's what they did with it.
What I also think is interesting, the Celtics, realistically, Indiana's probably even close with them now. I don't even know where they go from here.
Yeah, if Oladipo comes back healthy,
Philly.
the Pacers,
Philly has to keep at least. They have to keep either Butler or keep
Tobias.
Keep one of those guys.
Oh, maybe they'll just go nuts and keep everybody.
Yeah, I mean, then they're clearly ahead of the Celtics. And the crazy thing is also Toronto won this. Every round, the Toronto had issues. They had issues with Orlando. They only beat Philly because because Kawhi hit the craziest shot to end the series I think I've ever seen. And then it looked like the Bucks were going to beat them, and they came back to win this. But the East should be insanely interesting going forward.
That's why I think Philly might keep Harris and Butler, because if you think about it, they were that crazy Kawhi shot away. That was Game 7.
Right. And the series I think the game was tied at that point. They should have gone to overtime, and they should have a very good chance of winning the series.
Right. So you got to think like, well, we're just as good as Toronto. That means we probably could have won the championship if that shot doesn't go in. So They
Philly,
might just
you
run it
this
back.
back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You max those guys. And if you're Milwaukee, you're like, we should have beaten Toronto. Let's run this. Well, I guess they're not going to. Milwaukee's not going to change anything, but Milwaukee also probably thinks they're on the cusp of winning as well.
And I wouldn't argue that.
Yeah, and if you're the Celtics, you're like, oh, you remember, guys? Brad Stevens was a genius a couple of years ago. You guys remember that? So what does this all mean for the Knicks? Oh, by the way, the NBA also is going to be the last couple. It's been Golden State, Cleveland, Golden State, Cleveland. Finally, we had a different team out of the East. Next year is the first year we're going to have no idea who's going to, or not no idea, but like it's really everything's up for grabs.
Yeah. One last Golden State thought.
What?
After Clay went down, I thought everyone was just going to fold, and the fact that they still almost won, like I just give them credit for just playing with heart. I mean, you had Looney playing with a fractured chest, and Cousins looked like he still had a torn Achilles. Like he just looked terrible. So
no, it was such an effort. It also just shows how well coached and how it was crazy how close they came to winning that game.
I mean, you could say Curry wasn't good, but he was triple teamed on every play because the other offensive threats got injured.
He wasn't triple team in the last shot when he had a chance to win the game.
No, he wasn't, but you can't expect the guy to shoot 100%. Although they did show a stat that Curry is something like 0-8 in game-winning attempts in the playoffs.
I was listening to another podcast. I think it's the Sports Illustrated guys, the Open Floor guys, and they were saying how if James Harden had the exact same night, people would be killing him. But because of Steph Curry, they're like, no one's even going to make a big deal out of it.
The thing, though, is that Harden usually isn't triple teamed when he has nights like that. He just has nights like that.
I mean, Curry also has 3 rings, so it's fair to like have him have an off night in the finals.
Yeah.
If you're Golden State, where do you go from here? Your choices here are obviously you could try to max Clay and Durant, try to bring them back, basically punt next year, and then the year after go back into trying to win the title. Or you can use this and say, Clay and Durant may not be what we expect them to be going forward. Let's clear their money and then just try to free agent, try to just build from here.
I wonder if you can maybe get a slight discount on those two. But look, we'll give you the long contract. Maybe take $5 million less.
Oh, why should I take $5 million less? Well, you're not going to play next year, so take less money.
Right.
Do you think so? What do you do for Golden State? Do you max both guys, or make the offer? I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you make the offer because you got to at least take the chance that if they come back healthy a year from now, then you're right back in with the championship mix. If you don't, you might be in a rebuilding process. You might waste the last couple of years of Curry and Green's prime. It could get ugly real quick. So maybe you punt 1 year with the expectation that you can have 2 more championships after that.
There's not a huge path from here if you do not sign these guys. Because you're not going to take... You have Curry and Green. You're not going to bring in Kemba Walker and suddenly win the title.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, the problem with the Golden State is they've really failed. What you really need to do if you're a team this good and you don't have money to spend, you have to really do well in the draft. Maybe sign an undrafted free agent who ends up being pretty good. Golden State has not been they've not been very good at filling their bench.
I thought they did a fine job last year. It was just not last year, the year before. But when they got Durant, they just didn't have the money to get the people like David West or...
Well, West kind of retired also, but...
No, but I mean, those are the kind of players they were finding 2 years ago.
But he signed also a league minimum contract, so you could find other guys. You have just find guys who are willing to do that.
Was it league minimum? Okay, never mind.
I thought I could be wrong. I thought he signed a league minimum contract just going for a title.
I think you're right.
It's just you really also need to that 29th or 30th pick in the draft. Find a guy who could be a role player off the bench. I mean, the Knicks, Alonzo Trier, whatever we want to say about him, he'd be a solid guy for them to add to their bench.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Cook was okay in spots, but Jerebko was bad. McKinney was, I don't know. And that's pretty much all they had.
You wonder if the GM there just says, we have all these great players, and you kind of rest in your laurels and don't work as hard to find the rest of the bench.
Could be.
I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of guys out there you could have talked to and tried to convince some other guys. I mean, they had Nick Young last year. That
Right.
wasn't a great addition. But I don't know. You could probably find some other guys. This year, they're going to have to get creative if they want to have a shot.
Right. I mean, with Curry and Green, they'll probably still make the playoffs, but
Do you say Steph Curry, take the year off?
everybody. Green too.
Everett.
Why not?
Drebko, you're playing 40 minutes a night. Here's your shot.
Can you imagine? They just rest everybody. Hey, Cousins, take the year off too.
Wait. Why are you resting these players? Because we're not participating in this season. What don't you understand about the fact that Durant and Clay are not playing? Okay, so the Knicks. Where do we go from here? Do you think, first off, how does the Anthony trade? I guess the Anthony Davis trade, that makes you feel better, basically, because you know the Knicks aren't going to trade a ton of assets to get a guy who is going to break down anyway.
Yeah, I mean, even if you didn't break down, like I said, the Knicks can't compete with that offer. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even if you throw in Mitchell Robinson, I don't think you're still competing with that offer.
And even if the Knicks, the Pelicans fell in love with like Kevin Knox, they made the trade. You have Anthony Davis and not much else. You're not going anywhere. You need more of a roster.
Yeah.
So
this could be a blessing in disguise.
The Knicks are almost forced to rebuild from here. I mean, if you're the Knicks, do you make the offer to Kevin Durant?
I think you do. I would not feel good about it, but I still think you do.
I mean, I think the Knicks are just gonna be like, "Hey, why the hell not?" He'll probably say no, but at least if he says yes, there's some quick fix, hopefully ahead of us.
Well, then, since he's not playing all year, you get another good draft pick. So maybe you get lucky in next year's draft just in time for Durant to come back, and then you got Durant and a good draft pick.
Plus, Anthony Davis will be a free agent, and maybe after 1 year of playing with LeBron, he'll want the hell out, and maybe he'll sign with you.
Right.
The rest of the free agent class does not look all that great for next year. But you could just punt on spending, punt on spending big contract. If you get Durant, you could just say, "I don't need my second max guy until next year."
Yeah, I'm thinking you just try and go after D'Angelo Russell. I would see if I can even not max him. Just an expensive contract, but not a max.
I would have thought you didn't want to have to max him, but the fact that all these guys are dropping off the table, all the top tier free agents are just injured now, I think there's a greater chance you'll have to max him.
Right. I mean,
so let's say you max him. Well, do you think it makes sense? Our point guard is Dennis Smith Jr. is our best hope at point guard currently. Would you agree with that?
I know.
And he's not a bad player, but he's not where you want him to be for us to be competitive.
No, definitely not. I mean, he's probably the second best player on the roster, which is a huge problem.
Yes, that is a huge problem. Russell also looked good for like half a season for the Nets last year.
That's why I would worry about giving him a max. I mean, and he looked pretty bad in the last couple games of the playoffs too.
The Nets also had a system. They run a different system than the Knicks. They shoot 1 million threes a game. They have a very up-tempo offense. Maybe Russell does not look good in an offense that it's not quite as up-tempo, and it's not quite – you don't have a different kind of offense. Maybe his numbers are a little bit enhanced by the D'Antoni type of offense they're running.
Right. So I'd be wary about going over 20 for him.
You're not worried about signing him. You're just like over 20 makes you wary.
Yeah, if you want to start offering him like 30, I'm getting pretty nervous.
Yeah, I think that'd be insane. At least like you'd have a solid guy at point guard that you feel like could dish the ball and get everyone else involved.
Yeah.
His defense is lackluster, but everything's lackluster on this roster. And you're not getting a point guard in the draft. You have him next to Barrett. You got Mitchell Robinson.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. We're ready to go.
I mean,
I'm assuming none of the reclamation projects will be back. There's no chance they're signing Moutier. There's no chance Hezonja. Though Hezonja was the best point guard on the team, apparently.
I wouldn't say no chance on anything can happen now.
It's crazy also how everything was. The Knicks were on they're like, okay, we have this plan. It's finally going to work out. finally, everything's going to go right for us. Jay, is it the fact that you root for the team? Is that why everything goes wrong?
Could be. So we went from we might get Zion, Irving, and Durant to maybe we could max out D'Angelo Russell and get nobody else.
Yeah, maybe we unfortunately overpay for D'Angelo Russell because the Nets don't want him anymore.
Okay, this is good.
Yeah, we're almost done here, but do you regret the more the offseason comes into obviously we'll know the draft is on Thursday, and shortly thereafter we'll know about free agency, and we will know the reality will really set in. As reality sets in, do you feel worse or do you still feel fine with the KP trade? Not for what they got for him, but the fact that they moved him at all.
I'm not opposed to moving him. What they got for him is looking worse and worse by the minute.
No, I mean, in fairness, there's a chance that there wasn't a lot more to get for him. The Knicks got 2 draft picks. They got a guy that has some potential, Dennis Smith. A guy injured, a guy who's never really proven himself in the league. It's just about potential, and coming off a major injury, you can't get a haul for that kind of guy.
No, but I feel like the main point
far superior to KP.
I feel like the main point of the trade was cap space to get these guys, and now we're not getting the guys.
We still have cap space, and I'm gonna get a Knicks jersey that just says cap space on the back.
Because there's no guys to put in that cap space now.
Cap space only matters if you have guys to sign. And if the Knicks sign like Jimmy Butler or something like that, it would be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You're a young team, and you have to just rebuild as a young team. At least D'Angelo Russell is, I think, 23 years old, so you're still basically rebuilding with a young team.
Yeah. So,
but I would feel. Do you think KP, if the Knicks go? I mean, I guess New Orleans could have made this bet. New Orleans could have said, "We'll make a super max offer to Anthony Davis and dare him to turn it down." But actually, his contract's not even up yet. But
yeah.
But do you think if the Knicks say KP, here's a max offer, 5 years, $150 million, whatever the numbers are, KP is so confident in himself to turn down $150 million coming off this injury?
No.
Yeah, I wonder. You think he probably would just come back?
Yeah,
$150 million makes me happy about being on a team.
I mean, I would stay at my job, and I hate that more than anything. If they wanted to triple my salary.
I would do a lot of things that just would make my family ashamed of me for $150 million.
Oh, if my family knew the things I would do for money, that they probably wouldn't talk to me anymore.
So, if you had a roster of KP, Mitchell Robinson, and RJ Barrett, and we're building a team, how would you feel about that?
A little better.
I feel a little better.
I mean, there's nobody now.
There's Mitchell Robinson, who looks like he could be a very good player.
Great. I mean, I'm excited about Mitchell Robinson, but I really don't think it's going to be he's going to be the leader of a championship team.
Well, what he is a excellent rim protector,
mm-hmm.
a guy that can block, an elite shot blocker, who, in theory, and obviously can throw down dunks. In theory, he can develop his offensive game a little more, but he's not going to score 25 points a game. We're hoping he averages somewhere between 10 to 15 points a game as his offensive game develops. He could be a great anchor, but he's not Shaq.
Right.
So did we make that burger bet about RJ Barrett?
Yeah.
20 points a game?
Yeah.
I'll ask you, Jay, who else is going to average 20 points a game in this team?
Nobody. Nobody's going to average 20 points on this team.
Barrett is going to get it. The Knicks will just say, shoot. You just keep shooting because that was their strategy with Knox. And Barrett's a better player than Knox.
Yeah, I think he averages, I don't know, whoever the leading scorer on the Knicks is averages 17.
Maybe the Knicks can go, maybe they can take some assets and trade to get Tim Hardaway back.
Doesn't he have a metal rod in his leg or something?
Hardaway?
Yeah.
At least he's not on the roster anymore. There's no one the Knicks have traded besides KP that I would even think about wanting back.
That was the best part about the trade, actually, getting rid of Hardaway.
Yeah, at least we got rid of that. At least we don't have to worry about Tim Hardaway being on the team anymore. And who was the other one? It was Courtney Lee, who actually I like Courtney Lee. I'm surprised he didn't have a bigger role with Dallas after the trade.
The only free agent signing that the Knicks made in the last 10 years that I liked.
And they still had to get rid of him before his contract was up.
Yeah, exactly.
Knicks don't sign anyone that they want to keep for their entire contract.
No, everything's a mistake within 2 years.
Who was the last guy the Knicks have signed to a multi-year deal that they kept or at least wanted to keep for the entire contract? I mean, Amari, they certainly didn't want to keep for the whole contract.
No.
Melo, they did not keep for the entire contract.
I guess you could argue they kept Melo for his first contract.
But how long was that? The Knicks, I thought he was already had a... How long did the Knicks sign him when they first got him?
I think to 4 years, and then they re-signed him again for 5, and then said, oops.
Yeah, so I guess that would make sense. That
doesn't count because they ended up not wanting him. So I'm gonna.
Is there anyone else? Tyson Chandler. For some reason they had to get rid of him right away, or right after. Defensive Player of the Year, mediocre year. We have to move you as fast as we can. Then.
Yeah. So pretty much everybody.
Pretty much everybody. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that this summer is getting darker by the minute.
It is going to be a dark season. I am going to. How are you going to talk yourself into the season being optimistic? By the fall, we'll have to talk ourselves into the year being we have to be optimistic. How are you going to talk yourself into being optimistic?
Hopefully something happens in Summer League. Maybe Barrett has a 30-point game and we get excited.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what the rest of the roster looks like, so there's a bunch of spots still to be filled in this team, so
9.
There's at least 7 or 8 spots, yes.
Again, every year we've done this show.
Well, the Knicks, at least they're developing a core. So far the core is 1 player, and hopefully they'll expand to 2 by next year.
We said that 3 years ago when we were like, oh, we got 1 player, it's KP.
Yeah, so now we don't have that 1 player, but we have a different player, Mitchell Robinson, and maybe Knox will get better. You never know. I was listening to some other podcast. We were talking about Knox. And they said Calipari said when Knox was being drafted, this is a guy that he will not reach his potential or not be where you want him to be for at least a few years. He has a lot of developing to do before he could be a very elite player. He talked him up and said he could be a very good player, but it's going to be at least a few years.
Sweet.
So, I'm just saying there's still some potential there. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's better than we think right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have Alonzo Trier.
Mm.
We still have. We can end the show, Jay.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back after the draft, so we can talk about RJ Barrett some more.
I'm excited about Barrett.
All right, stay tuned.
Yeah, I just said a lie.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good.